appreciate it. Yeah.
15 minutes, cut it off.
You're in charge, Sal. That'd be good. I can get back to.
Yeah, I'm going to start off at 6:15. Can you get started on the undrafted guys, or do you have to wait until it's all over?
You got to wait till it's over.
You have to. Okay. So how do you evaluate holding?
Holding.
Holders.
Oh, I thought you meant like holding.
Holding.
As far as like for the punters holding for the kickers, yeah. You know, are the laces right? Is that angled right? You know.
But can he do it? Can Ariza do it if he gets the opportunity?
We think he can. I mean, well, he'll obviously have to prove it, just like he'll have to prove that, you know, he can punt directionally, distance, accuracy, all that you look for.
The way I was asking, I know it's kind of funny to think about because it's such a nuance of the game. You'd like to think that everybody will do it, but
Yeah.
it's a little tougher than that. But how do you can see the film on the punting aspect of it. Do you watch it? Do you put them through drills? Like, how do you actually evaluate that aspect of a game? Because it is very important.
Yeah, I mean, that'll be a big part of it when he gets in here is working on, you know, jugs, having Reed snap a lot, and yeah, that'll definitely be something we will have to, you know, every kicker that I've ever seen, they always want it a certain way. It's not the same. So some of them like the ball more up, some like it more angled. You know, Tyler could probably tell you way more than I know about all that, but it's always kind of, the kicker will kind of describe how he wants it. You know, they obviously always want the laces on the other side, but those things can happen. You get some holders that are late getting it down, late getting it the way they want it. Give them the laces, which, you know, that's the great thing about Matt Hawk is that he's an elite holder. I know his job title is punter, but again, I mentioned that before. Tyler was in such a groove last year, even though Matt struggled a little bit. Matt had a down year. He's a better punter than what he displayed last year. He's got a new focus, so it's competition, and Matt knows that. We talked about that with Matt when we brought him back. Matt Hawk, when we brought him back, was that hey, we're going to bring in competition, either a veteran or somebody in the college draft or free agency that doesn't get drafted.
Ability to do different things in the kicking game, is that something you value, or would you rather him, or is it better for him to focus on the one job and not worry about field goals and long kickoffs?
He doesn't need to worry about the field goals. I mean, yeah, it's always good to have another guy to kick off if Tyler's leg's tired, or to have another guy. Listen, you saw what happened in the Panthers game here. Their guy went down, so to have another guy, things happen. Crazy things. So to know that we have a guy that can, you know, go fill in, you know, if Tyler were to tweak something, that is an added bonus. But we would have him focus on punting and that holding relationship, you know, for field goals.
It gets windy here. Guy from San Diego is pretty nice down there. How do you project, you know, his strength and power into some of the blustery conditions that we get?
Yeah, I mean, how many people kick in blustery conditions? I mean, we'd have to go to just, you know, a small number of schools to find a punter. But, you know, the same thing with, you know, when you're looking at quarterbacks throwing it through there, and, you know, hand size and, you know, arm strength, things like that. Same for a leg. You know, it'll obviously be different. You know, the weather's just a little different here, as I talked to Matt when we selected him. But anyway, no, it'll be something that, you know, we won't be able to see that part of it by the time we make a decision in the punting competition. But you know, I'm sure, like anything, he would get used to it should he win the job.
Brandon, can you give us kind of a general, you know, that kind of a general overview of how you think the weekend went for you?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think we got some guys, Sal, that can really help us in some different areas. Going back to Thursday night, you know, we all know that we needed a corner, and, you know, we got another one today in Christian Benford. You know, he's played multiple spots. He's played corner. He's played safety. I think he's even played some nickel. lower level competition, but we like it. We brought him in on a 30 visit and was an impressive young man. Will be a asset on special teams as well, I think. Yeah. So another guy that's in our system, kind of fits what we call the number 4 role, a guy that can play inside and play out. His number 1 role would probably be, if you just said you were going to put him in one spot, he's probably more of an inside guy, but we think he's got enough outside speed. He's close to 6 foot, just under 195, 196 pounds maybe. So he's not a smaller, thinner. He plays heavy, and so we'll get him with Dorsey and Chad Hall and let him compete with all the other guys we have.
What's the science behind having so many left-footed punters in a row? I read here's another one. I think counting Gill in your last 4 that have been here have been all left-footed.
Yeah, I mean those generally can be a little harder to catch, just the way it comes off their foot. Same thing when you see guys that say it's harder for receivers sometimes to adjust to a left-handed ball from a quarterback. Guys have gotten, there's more left-footed punters now than there were probably 15 years ago. But there were good right-footed punters as well. It's not that we said we'll only take a left-footed punter. Just it worked out.
With Shafir, you guys traded up quite a bit, and I'm sure you said you're not patient, had to wait through that 4th round.
Yeah.
Was he somebody that was, you were really like to get up and get?
Yeah. When we got to our pick, I always look when I trade a pick away, and I go start kicking myself. Look who I could have got. And they're about to go, and that's who we would have picked. And so for him, Joe Shane. I saw him on TV earlier, and so I was trying to call him over and over when he was on ESPN or one of those, so he probably knows him at the podium.
Can you tell us about, you mentioned this on Friday or Thursday about, being able to take the guy that you need, and it's just drafting from a position of strength. What was that like for you all weekend to have that constant knowledge of, we are picking in a position of strength?
Yeah, I mean, we really, other than Shakir today, just let it come to us. We had some people that were wanting to see if we wanted to move up a couple times to lose some of these late picks, but we still had guys on our board all the way down to Spector, who we just took. We had some good grades on him. He's a versatile player, can play inside, play out, play special teams, hard nose, had a really good career at Clemson, which that's been some high-level football. This year they were down, but he's been around championship level football, and we think he's going to add to the mix. Obviously, we drafted the punter. We kind of were able to let it come to us. And Luke Tenuta, the tackle, a lot of love for him, big kid. Last time went to Virginia Tech late. It worked out with Wyatt. I screwed it up, but we found a good player there. And not to say this kid's going to be Wyatt, but we're excited about him. He's a coach's son. He's been around the game, grew up around it. The people there, Bill Tierlink that used to be here, when I went to watch Virginia Tech early in the year against Carolina, he raved about him. And just, everybody at the school just talked about what a great young man he is.
You joke about letting it come to you. And you also kind of addressed last night, getting the cornerback in the first round and getting that need taken care of. Did that give you a sense of freedom for the rest of the draft, that you didn't have to worry about what you perceived to be the biggest need at corner?
It did. If we didn't get the corner, I really came into the draft saying I know early. Doesn't have to be one, but I counted them after the second round. I think 9 corners went, if I remember correctly, and I was just. It's one of those things. You look and you work hard to get your value right. But that's one of those positions, we talked about it as a staff, that if you start looking back historically, we were looking at some of the names that were going in the first round, in the second round, and early in the third, and we're like, man, these are guys, some of these guys that got taken, we weren't necessarily as high on, and I was like, the guys we really want, we better put them up here because they're going to go. And yesterday, when that started in the second round, you're like, look, we debated over this guy, and look, he already went. So I did sleep much better. I didn't sleep much, but I did feel a lot better after Thursday night and felt like at this point we don't have to force anything. We got some good players on the board. There's going to be depth late, and that's why we stayed. I'm excited about some of these late guys, maybe even more than some of the other years that I think a lot of these guys have a legit chance to make our roster. I know people sometimes are like, well, get rid of your picks. They're not going to make it. I mean, we needed some depth in some certain areas, and I feel they all have a legit chance.
Brandon, in the same sense, how much does having your quarterback in place, long-term, knowing that you've got Josh Allen, how has that helped you in the draft, knowing that that's not a position you have to worry about? And, I mean, there seems to be a Josh Allen effect that in recruiting and also maybe in the draft as well. It's just, what does that effect do for a football team? Because it's been so long that the Bills had that guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just stability. If you got your quarterback and you got your head coach, that's the two most important things. You gotta be really good there if you want to be championship level. And we've got a good quarterback and we got a good head coach. And so I would just say, it helps you in anything. It's calming. You see what goes on, all the maneuvering in the offseason for these guys, and obviously the contracts that they require. But no, I'm glad that we have Josh, and look forward to having him for many years.
How did getting day 3 teach you to have patience? I know yesterday you was talking about you're very impatient when it comes to drafting late in rounds. So how much did today teach you that patience?
Yeah, I mean, to Jay's question, he hit the nail on the head. Getting Kyer on Thursday really just relaxed me and let it come. Again, I did trade up for Shakir today, but I really like that young man. He's tough, he's smart, he's versatile, and I think with the ball in his hands, he's pretty good too. So he was sticking out and just felt like let's go get him. This makes sense. But otherwise, we just kept seeing the board kind of fall, and we felt like there was going to be some options, and there truly were. I would have loved to actually probably had one or two more seventh. There was a couple other guys we thought could compete, but we chose the guys that we thought made the most sense.
What do you think was the point of emphasis in this year's draft class?
What was the what?
Point of emphasis.
Just to, first off, obviously, handle that corner position and then just fill some depth. And, I think we did that with a couple linebackers, another offensive tackle. We added some competition in the punting room, receiver room, just various areas that we could do something. And then, again, I talked about it last night with James Cook, who came in today. We missed on that piece in free agency, and I think that rack piece that he brings, and listen, he's not just a receiver. I probably overemphasized that a little bit yesterday. He can run the ball, but just having that guy to get the ball in his hands, make one guy miss, and get a chunk play is so. I think we helped ourselves, but again, there will be, maybe some more free agents that come free here in the coming weeks now that teams have drafted, and we'll still keep looking to see if there's some other guys to add depth.
Brandon, I know last night you were talking about, hey, we've got 4 sixes, we may move, we'll see how things shake out. How would you characterize the ability to move around when you wanted to? Because, it's not always easy to find a dance partner. How was it this weekend in terms of being able to move? Because you did.
Yeah. Well, going back to, the first night, we had some opportunities to go up and back. We ultimately went up, and then, round 2, we went back a couple times. Round 3, there wasn't as much action, people calling either way. And so as it got close, we kind of said, let's prepare to take this pick. And so we did with Terrell. And then today, it was obviously, we had too many things on the board that I thought could help us, so I wasn't going to be overly aggressive. One team in the 4th called, but it was just going to cost too much for some things that we wanted. And I thought that pick that we took, the punter, in that top of 6, you're almost talking the bottom of 5 here. So we had 2 picks there within 5. I thought we'd get a couple good players, and we were excited about it.
Shakir, I know you mentioned Brooks, Rack. Do you think Shakir gives you some of that as well, or?
Yeah, I do. He's got some straight line speed, and I think if he gets the ball and has a step, he's not going to be the easiest guy to track down.
Ariza, what did you like about just what did Matt Smiley like, or why did you pick him? What did you like?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously got a leg. You can see some of the kicks. It'll be, as Waro was saying earlier, these will be some different conditions at times later in the year than he's probably faced. But I was at the combine watching these punters, and there were, several, and a few got drafted that you heard the difference when the ball hit their foot. You saw the difference in, and again, he can do a lot. He can kick off. He can kick field goals if we need him. Obviously, we got Tyler here to do that, but it's nice to, just like we have linemen that we want versatility, DBs, and so just like it. And I tell you what, his tape's fun to watch. He's actually trying to run by guys if you ever go flip his film on to make tackles, and we'll probably have to tell him some of these guys might hurt him, so let's don't do that here. But I love he plays with an edge. We have a sticker we put on guys if they're just like a violent player called a Rambo sticker, and we were like, man, this may be a punter that we should put the Rambo on.
I'm actually curious. Everybody that you read about talks about his character being off the charts, his mentality. He's a team captain, things like that. I think back to the video we watched him, Gabe Davis at the combine, and hey, I want this guy to fly under the radar. Is this maybe that kind of guy that you kind of had there and thought maybe under the radar a bit that you could go get?
Yeah, different. Very smart, cerebral. Can by all accounts, and tested well with our guys. Can some guys are one position guys. It's just it's hard for them in game to switch from X to Z to F or whatever. This guy can be that piece mentally to go do that in game. Hey, go outside to X, go inside and play the slot, whatever it is. And very high character, works hard. People at Boise speak very highly of him. Fits our DNA. All of that in his package. Has some straight line speed when he gets up and rolling. I think he ran low 4.4s in Indy. So you see what he can do once he's up to top end.
Hey, can you tell us about the last pick you had, Beale Inspector? I don't think we got much to it.
Yeah, so versatile player, kind of like Terrell, from Baylor in the sense he can play inside, can play out, should help us on special teams, smart, kind of tough kid that he's fun to watch, fly around, had some good years at Clemson. They had a couple good linebackers. There was another one, Skowski, there that if you guys have followed Clemson, those two guys made a lot of plays. If the D-line wasn't making it, usually one of those two linebackers was there making it. So, he's going to bring a little edge to us, and, I like the depth that we've added in that linebacker room.
Brandon, after you took Tenuta, I collected Tierlink, and he raved about his DNA, but said that he needs a good year of NFL offensive line coaching. What do you see about him that he needs to develop?
Yeah, I mean, he's a bigger, taller guy, so, similar to Tommy Doyle coming out of Miami of Ohio, just being able to bend and get up underneath people's pads. He plays tall, so he'll have to – guys at this level can get underneath your pads quick, and they know how to do it. So the speed, his foot quicks, he'll have to – guys get around his edge quicker than probably he saw a lot at Virginia Tech. But I would say those things, just keeping his pad level down and, improving his foot quicks.
Brandon, you mentioned a little while ago, Wyatt Teller, that you may have screwed that up.
Mm-hmm.
That was like a bigger one. He's gone on to be an All-Pro and all that.
Yeah.
How much do you learn, especially as a young GM and a staff and a coaching staff group, from those kind of situations?
Yeah, you do. You have to learn. If you don't, you're going to repeat them. And it's just, Wyatt was a young player, had played a little bit as a rookie, and then came back. We got a new O-line coach. It was going into Dable's second year with us, and just didn't seem like things were meshing in there. They didn't feel at that time that he warranted to start, and just weren't sure what his role was going to be, and so. I just felt like, I don't know if it's going to end up working here. While there's some value, let me, go, I think we drafted him the 5th, and we got a 5th and a 6th back. I'm like, let me at least cash this in for something else if it doesn't look like it's going to work here. And looking back, I should have been more patient and should have let it play out a little longer. And again, that's on me, corner here, and see how he does. Again, that's is at Nova. He did play a little bit of both. So we'll see. Well, it's easier to move him back. You see guys. Micah back in his day was a corner also. So we'll start him at corner. If we think he's a better fit, he's got good ball skills, then we move him back to safety.
Brendan, you had talked pre-draft about how this is kind of a deeper class for day 3 with guys having that extra year. Just how did that play out today of guys who were available, how you had them graded? Did it feel noticeably deeper?
It did. I was curious. Like last night, I didn't feel I was looking at how many picks we were going to have to wait. Ultimately we traded up, but I was just like, man, our board may not look very good. I may have to. I had some conversations of like, what do I need to do to get a couple picks in 5, and then just not worry about the 6s as much. But people had, everybody's boards are different, and we didn't lose as much as I thought by the end of the 4th round. And that's where I was like, you know what? Now that it's getting closer, if Shakir stays there, let's go get him. And we did, and then after that pick, I was like, all right, if we'll trade back, but we're not trading up anymore. We got some guys on this board that are going to be here, because at this point, people are trying to fill need, and you're kind of looking at their depth charts, who's in front of you, going, all right, how many guys would take this tackle? Well, it looked like there was only like one team in front of us that might be a priority for them. You never know, but. So that kind of almost predicts sometimes how you pick a late 6th versus 7th. How do you get both? You know what I mean? Which one do you? Sometimes you regret it. You're kind of guessing what people will do.
Brandon, you said last week that you didn't feel very comfortable at a lot of positions. I know we're a long way away from training camp, but did this weekend make you feel more comfortable at your roster?
Yeah, I feel better. I'm excited about the guys we got. I know you sit here every year and should be excited, or I did something stupid. So hopefully in the fall, it looks like it was exciting as we see some of these guys play and fill out their roles, whether it ends up being starters or key backups or special teams players, whatever it is. But no, I feel a lot better. But the job now, but between now and when we show up at St. John Fisher, is to try and make this team as competitive as possible, every single position. So we're not done. We're not going to go to 90 today or tomorrow. There will be more veterans on the street, and we'll continue to kind of, circulate through, the waiver wire at this point.
You talk a lot about building from the lines. That's where you start. And you only got one offensive lineman, no defensive lineman in this draft. Do you feel like that was because of what you did in free agency that you felt comfortable with where those are? Or do you feel like you still need to address them?
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the draft, kind of the depth of the D tackle, back at the combine and where we had things on our board after our February meetings, and that was part of the reason I was probably more aggressive with DTs in free agency to fill that. There were guys on our board that we think could have helped us at D line, but it didn't necessarily fall that way, and same for O-line, especially interior. Kind of like I mentioned with corner a year ago, it just didn't seem when our pick was coming around that there was a guy that fit the value. So there were some guys we really liked, but sometimes they went, a couple away, and sometimes they weren't even near us.
Is 6'8" the new requirement for offensive tackles on those, or
Yeah, my basketball team. Yeah.
Same with tight end. You had some decent tight end prospects in before the draft, but it was another case where you signed Jay Howard, so you weren't boxed in.
Yeah, there were some guys. I think if we would have had, the 4th round, we would have had some questions of whether it was Shakir there or tight ends. We had some similar guys. I think Shakir was a little bit higher than what we had him, but there were some guys that it felt like the tight ends started coming off today that we had some interest in, but didn't try and force it, or reach.
What's the 2022 sales pitch for the undrafted rookies when you get involved?
Sometimes it'll be to what Elena just said. We didn't draft a player at your position, so come here. You're gonna have a good opportunity. It's harder if we drafted 2 linebackers. that's going to be a harder position for somebody to come here, at least the top guys. But, an interior lineman, we didn't draft one. So, so if you guys can put out on Twitter or whatever to help us out, that'd be great, Tim.
I'm sure they're following us.
Yeah, but yeah, that's really it. Just, we're selling the opportunity, whatever it is. Obviously we feel we're a playoff contending team. Come here and be a part of what we're building.
Do you think that's easier or harder than when you started the pitch? It's obviously different, but is it?
I don't know. We probably had easier sell jobs then because, hey, we're going to build this with the people that we think fit our culture and things like that, and we know you do. We're filling these veterans out. So I would think earlier it was easier than it is now.
And when's your committee camp?
It's 2 weeks. So yeah, 2 weeks. Not this weekend. 2 weeks. Yeah. Thank y'all very much.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay.
So
Thank
we,
you.
the next one.
Friday, 13th?
Yep, that'd be right there, around there, yeah, thank you.
Oh, scary. Yeah, sorry.